And if you guys look at this picture, I'll explain what he's talking about. Up here, you can see the drainage. I mean, this is that pond that just sets in here. You can see all this. You can see how it fills up behind these houses. And now if we start filling this in, this here doesn't look like it's full of water, but it is because they never cut the grass off of it. So it's all under grass. This water's got to come down through here. This was the natural drainage. We're draining off about a half a section of this field. Runs right down in there. And it's got to come down right, I lost it now. It's got to come right through here, and this culvert Maury's talking about is right here. And it drains out into this field. And this gentleman here is farmed through the natural drainage. I mean, you can see where his field comes down here, and then that drains out to a smaller creek that goes into Skunk Creek. And when we get that type of water that we got 2 years ago, it's hydraulicing out of that 30-inch culvert so bad it looks like someone's got a pump on the back side of it. And it can't go anyplace. So if we get 1 or 2 inches of water now, our only saving grace is this big holding area, this big pond area right here. And like Maury says, if I can get to this next picture here, this looks great now, but if you look here at this house, this whole lot's to this level now. It's about 4 foot fuller of clay that they pulled in there. And they filled this lot in. If they keep going back, this has been underwater every spring. It was underwater this spring, even with the drought we had. It was underwater this spring. 2 years ago, my sump pump never shut off. It shut off in December because we can't get this water out of there. It just sits in there. Now, if we lose this, it's really going to sit in there. So, yes, I mean, I feel that the county needs to put a bigger culvert in here. I mean, this is what I did for a living for 24 years, and it's not going anyplace. It's just sitting in there. And this guy here, I mean, you can go by his place anytime, this house right next to him, and you can see he's pumping water because it just sits in here. We got to get that water out of there. And it's not allowed to drain out. I mean, just to kind of give you an idea, this looks good because there's nothing in there right now. It's all down in there, but he filled that in. He put a few thousand cubic yards in there. I don't know how much, but a lot. And if he keeps going back, in order to have access to those buildings, he's going to have to fill that whole lot in, just like Maury said. So that's our concern. It's not the concern over the building. It's the concern over that when he builds this building, we are losing the only holding pond we got for 1 inch or 2 inch rains. Because it's coming right back up those culverts. It's coming up 18-inch culverts, and it just sets up there.
Okay. Any questions for this gentleman from the city side? Any questions from the county?
All right, thank you.
Is there anyone else here this evening that would like to address this item? Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Ron Benherdy. I farm the ground to the west around there. I basically agree with what they're saying. You know, we need more culverts in there, possibly one to the north farther to go under the Ellis Road. That's basically what it needs. It's just a lot of water that just can't get away in time. That's pretty much what I would think too. So.
Okay. Any questions for Ron? County? Is there anyone else here this evening that'd like to address this item? I saw some people come in late. That wouldn't have been the petitioner, would it have been?
Yes, it would have been. So the petitioner is here to address just quickly, and maybe it was Mr. Pearson's question, but this Ellis is in the floodplain. That's why that water sits there. And you know, as for natural drainage, that's what floodplains do. They hold water, and they're the last things that drain. As for him bringing in the clay and the more dirt, that is a requirement of the floodplain development permit because the house has to be built up high enough out of the floodplain. And so they had to bring in, I'm not sure what the amount of dirt that they were having to bring in, but when you construct a building in the floodplain, you have to get a floodplain development permit in which they establish a base elevation in which your house needs to be built at. And that is what that extra dirt was basically for, to make sure that the house itself was built high enough so that it was above the base flood elevation. But as for the water that's shown on the map and the pictures that they were showing, it is the floodplain. Ellis is in the 100-year floodplain, and that's why the water sits in Ellis. But the petitioner is here. He can talk more about the construction and the dirt that they brought in.
And Dusty, if I may, Mr. Chair, the requirement to raise it up is for the accessory building as well.
Yes, yeah, he had to obtain a floodplain development permit for all buildings on these properties.
Justin, I have a question for you. It looks like these roads are being developed to the west and to the north of this property.
I would say the one to the north is, and that's because it's going to provide access to the property. The one to the west has not been developed through there, and I don't know if there are plans to.
And so is that developed by the homeowner?
I believe the homeowner is bringing the dirt in to that for access to his property.
Okay.
The permitting process to bring this out of the floodplain, does your office administrate that?
Yes.
Do they come down here?
Yes, they would need to provide, they have to get an engineer to certify what the base flood elevation is for the property, so what height that they need to build at, what elevation they need to build at, and that needs to be provided to our office to obtain a floodplain development permit, and then we keep record of what that elevation is in the office.
Are they only establishing, getting it out of the floodplain? In other words, the question in my mind is, by doing this, is this going to make this drain better or worse
Well, I wouldn't.
for the neighbors downstream?
Well, if you think of a floodplain, the water just raises and lowers. It's not necessarily, it's hard for me to say that what they're doing is going to create a flow to the neighbor's property, because basically in a floodplain the water just comes up and goes down, and that's why they notice that it takes 4.5 days or whatever for the water to go down, and that's how floodplain, that's how the water in the floodplain works.
Will it cause it to be deeper downstream than maybe without it?
I can't
And
speak to
I don't
that.
know. I'm just.
Yep, I can't.
I think that's their concern a little bit.
Yep. I guess
So that's not looked at the process.
No.
What they're looking at is, hey, are you just lifting it up out of the floodplain?
Yes.
Okay. Any other question for us? Did someone say the petitioner was here? Would you be willing to step up and introduce yourself?
I'm Doug Rupin, and I'm the one that put the request in for the conditional use permit for the exercise building.
Doug, have you been here for all the conversation?
I missed the first part of it. The doors are all locked. We couldn't get in. We had to bang on the doors to get the custodian to let us in. The doors in the courthouse are all locked. They must have shut them down at 7 o'clock, and we couldn't get in, but the custodian let us in.
I think I can summarize it. We've had a number of neighbors come in concerned about
The floodplain issue
about the
and the
floodplain,
drainage.
the water on that side of the TLS road, and is this, I think I can state this, going to make it better or make it worse? The general feeling is that they think it might make it worse. Not being an engineer, I don't know.
I don't think it'll have any effect at all. The water that's there is going to be there whether we're there or not. The flow going out of that area, if a 30-inch pipe won't handle it, then they should talk to the county about increasing the size of the outlet pipe. We put a pipe in front of our lot that we're developing, that we're putting the house on. We put in a pipe the same size as the pipe next to us. We got a permit from Minnehaha County Highway to handle that, and I don't think it'll make any difference at all. The water's going to be there whether we're there or not. We're just requesting to have one size bigger building than what they're allowed. We're allowed 12. I think they're allowed 1,200 feet, and we wanted to put in 3,100 feet.
Are you saying you've put a pipe under the highway now to drain some additional water?
Just a driveway going into those lots.
So
right
a pipe
in the edge.
underneath the driveway to get it down to the existing
Yeah.
culvert.
So where we come off the road, we've got a driveway coming in right next to the neighbor there, and it's the same size pipe, and the water will flow through there, but it won't make any difference as far as the 30-inch pipe going out. We're not going to affect the water flow one way or the other.
Any other questions on the city side for Doug?
My earlier question was answered already.
Okay, good.
Doesn't appear so.
Thank you, Doug. Is there anyone else here this evening that would like to address item number 2? Seeing none, I would look for commission recommendation, and I'll start with the city side.
I'll make a motion to approve for discussion purposes.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor will signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Okay, do we just make the same motion or we vote on your motion?
Make your own motion.
Make your own
Okay.
motion.
Do we have a motion on the county side
I'll move.
for approval or?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second.
A second.
I
All
think
in
it'd be
favor,
fair-
signify by, or
Oh,
are we gonna
excuse me.
discuss or, okay, go ahead.
I think it'd be fair to say I don't think we have to discuss it side by side. I think we can all discuss it as a group, can't we?
Sure.
Would anyone have any
Well,
comments?
Mr. Chairman, I guess my feeling is that the people who stated their case very clearly about the water concerns, I think their next step, if they need to do one, is to petition the county for just what they're asking for, a larger outlet pipe. Might satisfy some of their concerns. It's sort of a side issue to what we're really trying to discuss here tonight. So I'm in favor of the motion and would encourage the concerned citizens to, take their next step.
And Mr. Chair, it appears the city and the county have reviewed the